you know what it's like to feel invisible? To walk into a room and wonder if anyone truly sees you beyond the surface, beyond the exterior? Maybe you felt like your voice didn't matter, like your presence could be erased and the world would move on unaffected. Have you ever stood in a crowd and felt like you were the only one there? That no one noticed the effort it took for you to show up, to stand tall, to keep going? I've been there. I've faced the deafening silence of doubt. I've stared down the whispers of rejection. I've listened to the voices in my head telling me I wasn't enough, that I'd never be enough. But let me tell you something, it's not about how they see you, it's about how they see you. So, you see, every single one of us was born with a purpose, a reason for being. And I don't mean that in some cliche, everything happens for a reason way. I mean it in the deepest, most undeniable sense. You're here because the world needs you. You're here because there is something only you can do. There are people only you can touch, lives only you can impact. And yet, some of us lose sight of that purpose. Some of us forget how valuable we are when life gets hard, when the world feels heavy, or when people decide to turn away instead of toward us. But their choice doesn't define your worth. Their decision to walk away doesn't erase the unique, unrepeatable miracle that you are. You were a blessing from the very beginning. I know it doesn't always feel that way. You've got scars, don't you? Maybe they're physical scars, ones you can point to and say, this is where I felt, but I got back up. Or maybe they're hidden deep inside, etched into your heart, carved into your spirit. I know I have mine. I was born without arms or legs. People would stare. Some would pity me. Some would mock me. They'd say, what kind of life could someone like that ever live? And for a long time, I believed them. I believed that my worth was tied to my abilities or my lack of them. I let their rejection dim my light. I let their opinions write my story. Until one day I realized something powerful: they didn't deserve to hold the pen. Neither do the people who've underestimated you. Think back to every time someone doubted you. Every time someone dismissed your ideas, ignored your effort, or overlooked your heart. How many times have you tried to show someone your value only to be met with indifference? It hurts, doesn't it? It feels like a punch to the gut, like the air has been knocked out of your lungs. But let me tell you this, their failure to see your worth doesn't diminish it. Their inability to appreciate you doesn't define you. The problem isn't that you weren't enough. The problem is that they couldn't see your value. They were blind to the blessing standing right in front of them. And that's okay. Because here's the truth, not everyone is meant to walk alongside you. Not everyone is capable of understanding the greatness that's growing inside of you. But don't you dare let their blindness make you question your brilliance. Every rejection, every closed door, every unkind word, they weren't breaking you, they were building you. Every person who doubted you, who mistreated you, who walked away, they lost, not you. They lost the chance to know someone who could light up a room with just their smile. They lost the opportunity to walk alongside someone who could transform challenges into triumphs. They lost the privilege of witnessing your greatness firsthand. And let's be honest, it's hard to see that in the moment. When someone turns their back on you, it feels personal. It feels like a reflection of your value, but it's not. Their rejection is not about you. It's about them. Their inability to see your worth says everything about their vision, not your value. Here's what I need you to remember. You were not placed on this earth to be small. You were not created to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's limited perspective. You were made to grow, to thrive, to conquer. And you will. But it starts with a decision. A decision to stop letting the opinions of others dictate your life. A decision to stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. The world is full of people who will try to define you by what you lack. They'll point out your flaws, your mistakes, your imperfections. They'll focus on what you don't have instead of seeing everything you do. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe them. You'll start to see yourself through their lens instead of your own. Let me tell you a story. There was a time when I wanted nothing more than to be normal. I thought if I could just have arms and legs, everything would be easier. People would accept me. Life would be better. But you know what? That wasn't my path. My purpose wasn't to fit in, it was to stand out. My greatest challenges became my greatest blessings. And the same is true for you. You might be thinking, Nick, you don't know my situation. You don't know what I've been through, and you're right. I don't know your exact story, but I do know this: you are stronger than you think. You have overcome battles that would have broken someone else. You've survived days you thought would destroy you. and you're still here. That's not by accident. That's not by chance. You're here because there's more for you to do. There's more for you to become. And yes, it's going to take work. It's going to take courage, but you have everything you need inside you. You just have to believe it. Let them go. Let them lose you. Because the right people will recognize your worth. The right people will celebrate your light. The right people will walk alongside you, not because they need you to be perfect, but because they see the beauty in who you are. And if you're feeling like you've been overlooked, if you're wondering why you weren't enough for someone, remember this: you are not for everyone. You are for the people who see you, who cherish you, who value you. And those people, they're out there waiting to meet you. But first, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to see your own worth before anyone else can. You've got to stop waiting for permission to be great. Stop waiting for someone to validate your existence. You're here, you're alive. That's all the validation you need. I'm telling you this because I've lived it. I've been written off. I've been underestimated. And there were moments when I thought I couldn't go on, but I chose to keep moving. I chose to believe that my life mattered. And I'm standing here today to tell you, your life matters too. You are a blessing they lost. And now it's your time to rise. So take a deep breath, look in the mirror, and remind yourself of who you are. You're not their rejection. You're not their failure to see your value. You're a masterpiece in progress, and the best chapters of your story are still ahead. Keep going, keep growing. And never forget the world is better because you're in it. You are a blessing they lost.